Hey guys, welcome back. This is going to be one of our banter sessions. I'm Jake with Dallas LDS Books and Latter Day Books and Gifts in Houston. And you can find us on Facebook.
And I'm Joey. I do online reputation management, and I'm on Facebook and TikTok.
I'm Kenneth Holland, your local Dallas-Fort Worth real estate agent. You can find me at Dallas_Texas_living on most social media platforms.
Nice. And today's episode brought to you by Racetrack, where you can find icebreakers, mints,
And the Sultan.
and become a sultan.
Racetrack, if you're interested in partnering with us, give us a call.
So today's episode, we're going to be talking about some of our funny mission stories. We all served missions. So, but before we start, we should say where we served.
Okay.
And if you dare, the year.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, so I served my mission in Brisbane, Australia. I think I told you guys that before, I can't remember. From 1993 to 95. So not too long ago.
Yeah, 1995. I know, right? Man, I feel better now. I served in the Salt Lake City mission, 1997 to 99.
I served in the California San Bernardino mission from 99 to 2001.
Damn, you guys are old.
Like it was the younger, the middle,
So, like, there's missions in Salt Lake City?
Salt Lake City. Yeah, there was a lot of work to do up there.
Okay, I first gotta give you some background, right? I had been in Hawaii for a year, and I didn't really know how to use a knife and a fork, okay?
Look at that. Really?
I didn't.
You didn't have knives and forks in Samoa? You just use your hands, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
And a
So I don't mean to laugh.
No, most of the time I used a spoon. So when I came here and my brother was trying to teach me how to use a knife and a fork, it was so hard, but he kept saying use the left hand. The fork goes on the left hand. And the
You cut with the right. You
and
don't
cut with the right.
Yeah.
But I was always doing the fork on the right hand and the knife on the left.
So one time, this was on my mission, you can see that? Like, this is a fork. There's this guy, and he kept on like bopping his son over the head. He's like, no, this is the way you do it. So there's like an American way and a European way. So I watched this guy, I was like, man, I don't know. I just go like this. But I was watching this guy before he eat, and I was like, crap, I don't know. So I started watching the way he was telling his son to do it so I could do it like that. It's like a European way where you take it in the left hand. I think, I could be wrong. Take it in the left hand, take your knife in the right hand, you cut it, stick it in there, and then you switch it over to the right hand, and then you eat it. And so that's the way I do it now.
That's too much.
It is. That's now become a habit. That's the way I do it.
Serious?
Yes, because I was scared of this guy that was like doing that to his son. I was like, and I'm from Texas, man. We don't do that stuff. We're just trying to tell steak. That's how we do it. But when I saw that, I was like, crap, I got to learn this. So I'm watching him as he's like bopping his son over the head and teaching him. His son's a teenager, like he's like 18 or 19, right? So he can do that. But anyway, so I'm watching him, and that's how I do it now.
So your age.
I think, yeah.
Well, for me though, you're saying you just got. And I'm from Samoa. We just pick it up and eat it. So that's what I'm used to, right? When I went to the Missionary Training Center in Provo, they did the etiquette and they showed us how. Anyway, so I get to my mission, my first night in Australia, in Brisbane. That night when we got there, we had our dinner with the mission president, and they served. Let me tell you first, I didn't know what this was. So they served chicken with this thing. It was a foil. It was a oval foil right next to the chicken. I didn't know what it was, and so I'm looking at the food, and it's me. And then everyone, there were 12 of us. And then the mission president to my right, and straight in front of me was the mission president's wife, Sister Lydia. And so after we said the prayer, I was deliberately going slow because I'm watching what people are going to do with that foil thing. I had no idea what it was. And then I see them, so now they open the foil, and I'm looking, it was a potato. It was a potato. And then I'm watching, right, and they took the knife and they cut it in half, and this other guy could put, stuff like the cutting across like this, and then they took butter and they put it in. I'm like, oh wow, that's weird. and then they took the chicken or the knife and they start cutting up the chicken. I'm like, oh boy. I was so worried because I did not know how to cut up that chicken. It was a bone, the chicken. And I'm like, All right. So I take and I unwrap the foil. And by the way, it was hot, and I didn't realize. I'm like, oh. And then
Hot potato.
yeah, hot. So I unwrap it, and then I get the butter, and I went to stab my fork into the potato and cut it. And I missed it, and the potato went flying and landed on my. And I was like, oh. And the mission president looked at me and goes, oh, Elder Palma, haven't used the fork before. And he was just joking, right? And I'm like, no. And it was that because my potato landed up over there. So I put the potato back, and I'm trying to cut my chicken. And I keep, you know how when you hit the plate, and it kept. Like, it was just, I was having a hard time, and Sister Lilico looked at me and she said, Elder Palma, you can pick up the chicken. I'm like, oh, thank you. I picked up the chicken, and then the other guy's like, can I pick up the chicken? So they all started picking up the chicken. I'm like, this is how we eat chicken.
You started something. At first, I thought you were going to say she was going to come over there and cut it for you.
I was watching, the person next to me was a lady. Wow, she was really good at cutting that chicken. And she was like, the pieces that it was small. I'm like, how are you? When I picked up the chicken, oh man, it was half the chicken was gone. And then by the way, when they were done eating, there was still a lot of meat left on that chicken. And they looked over at mine when I was done eating, nothing. Only the bones was on, even the cartilage was gone. I'm like, what a waste of that. I was really wanting to say, can I finish your chicken?
So I've got a story. You know, I grew up in Dallas, in Garland, Mesquite area. We see a lot of different types of people, right, around that area. And back in the 90s, there was a lot of gangs, right? Would you say that, Jacob? Mm-hmm. Like you hear it on the news all the time. It was very common for us at school and wherever to interact with people that were part of gangs and to have friends that were part of them. Thankfully, it's not as bad as it. I think the 90s were probably one of the worst as far as the gangs were in this area. But anyway, so I knew how to act around people like that, but it was when I would go out on exchanges. I remember one time when I saw the guy's tattoos and I saw his friends and I knew they were part of a gang. And I just remember this guy being from Utah, and he didn't understand that stuff. And he started arguing with this guy back and forth, and I was like, dude, shut up right now. It's okay. And we left. So that, just to give you a little background, but so then this is more of the funny story. So now I'm with another missionary. He's a short little guy, the shortest missionary on our mission. We're not in the best areas in Rialto, California. And here comes this guy on a lowrider bike, and he's like, hey, I say, you're down the wrong street, vato. And then the missionary is with me. He's just like ignoring it and keeps driving on. And he's like, "You down the wrong street, SA." And I'm riding a bike, and I just get a feeling like, stick out your hand, right? And I said, "Hey man, I'm Elder Holland. How you doing?" And he goes, "You just looked at me like that." And then he stopped and he let us go on. And then when we got across the busy street, then he started in again, going, yeah, what? And then throwing out the gang signs, talking about what he was going to do and this and that. That's the closest that I ever had of a confrontation, because everyone else usually respected the missionaries. But anyways, this missionary I was with, he's like, I would have done this. And I was like, no, dude, you wouldn't have done that. You wouldn't have done anything, just like you didn't do anything. You wouldn't have done it. So anyways.
He's all talking big.
Yes, now that the guy's like 3 or 4 lanes, between us, he's willing to start smack talking. Right. I was like, you don't do that stuff. Anyways, that was a funny experience we had at the time. But I was also thankful for the spirit, because to get rid of that guy, I felt that strong, like stick out your hands. I was like, hey, I'm Elder Holland, and he just went like that, and that's exactly what he did. And he paused, let us go across, and then he starts mouthing off again. I think he realized, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
Mine is my first area. So I'm a brand new missionary out there, okay? And I served it was in Wendover. So Wendover is on the border of Utah and Nevada. And we actually lived on the Utah side. The street that went down where our apartment was the state line. Across that street, and you're in the Nevada side. And that's where all the casinos were. And then, so my first night, I think it was I want to say the bishop, and he had us over for dinner. And they knew that I was from Texas, so we showed up for dinner, okay? And there wasn't too many people there. Just me and my companion, him, his wife, and I think he had 2 kids. 2 kids. And he comes in. We're all sitting around the table, and he comes in and he puts this massive plate in the middle of the table, and it's these steaks, real big steaks. The steaks though was like piled high. I'm like, are we gonna have more people come in? I'm thinking this, right?
Yeah.
Are we gonna have more people to come eat? You know, and so we sit down and he sits there and he always say prayer. He's like, all right, Elder Vasquez, this is for you. And we know you're from Texas. We know y'all eat steaks and we know everything is big in Texas. So we have these big steaks. And I know you guys have big appetites. I'm like, oh, I was hungry at the time. So I'm sitting there and I eat my first steak, right? Okay, it wasn't bad. All right, have another one, Elder Vasquez. Okay.
I know where this is going.
Eat another one. About halfway through that steak, I'm like, oh, I'm done. I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And they just kept talking big about Texas. I'm like, oh, I can't let down. No, I'm Texan. You know, that Texan pride comes in, and it's like, okay. So I muster the next half of that. All right, Elder Vasquez, there's another one. I'm like, and they just kept going, and I'm like, I'm looking at my companion, and he's just like,
Is your companion eating one?
oh, he's eating steak.
Okay.
They're not eating like I am.
Okay.
For some reason, I'm the only one that they're putting another steak on, you know? And instead of just saying, I can't, I just can't. I
With
can't
that
do it.
pride.
So, man, it was like, I thought I was going to vomit, like maybe 4 bites into the third steak. So, anyways, I did eat that third steak. I was done.
Oh, wow.
I went home, and on the way home, I was in the car, and I was like, I can't do anything. Like, I literally cannot do anything. I can't walk. I can't do nothing. I got to go home and like go get it all out or something, or sit on the couch or a bit. I was like, I'm done. And you know how you get the sweats and stuff, you know, knee sweats, and that's how I was. And I was like, oh man. But I did it all for Texas. Okay?
Booyah.
Yeah, I'm from Texas, so I had to keep that pride.
I thought you were going to say that they said something like, man, we're surprised you got through that for the last Texan we had, wasn't able to get through the
You know,
second one.
and I thought about that too, because I didn't never say it out loud, but I was like days later, you know, I'm like, man, I wonder if they were just doing that to mess with me, you know? And like, man, this guy's really eating all this steak. Like, jeez.
They're like, we got steak for 2 weeks. Well, I guess we don't anymore.
That was supposed to be for our leftovers.
So for a while there, when people were having steak for dinner, I was like, oh, no, I can't do this. But yeah.
That's funny, man.
Okay, I have another story. Food as well. On my mission, I was brand new still. I was probably out a month. So we go to dinner at this one house, and they made a really good meal. And we ate real good. So they had this good meal prepared. And I've always eaten fat. And my mom used to say, please slow down. Your food is not going to run away. But, you know, growing up in a big family, you have to eat fat so you can have more. So they served us the food, and there were 4 missionaries with the family. It was me and the other, my companion, and then sisters. We all ate, and I finished first. After I finished, she's like, well, would you like some more, Elder? And I said, yes, please. And so I ate some more. And I ate the second plate, and the other guys were still eating their first. And I was, wow. And she goes, well, we have dessert. Would you like some dessert? I said, yeah, thank you. So she brings out a chocolate cake with white frosting. She goes, they told us you like chocolate cake, so we made you some chocolate cake. I'm, oh, thank you. So I eat the chocolate cake, and now they're just now finishing. So all the food is still on the table. I finished my cake, and then she, would you like another one? I said, sure. So gave me another. And it was a big piece of cake, right? So I ate the first piece, and now I'm eating the second one, but it wasn't enough frosting. So I look over, and I'm like, oh, there's frosting on the table. So I took the frosting, and I smeared it on my cake, and I bit into it. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the worst frosting.
It's sour cream.
It was sour cream. I didn't know. But that night we had potatoes, which people put the sour cream in potato. I didn't know that, so the first thing I saw was, why are they putting frosting into their potatoes? Or, you know, I didn't know it was sour cream. And so I didn't do that. So now the first night I ate my potato, it was butter. So I put the butter and I ate that. And now I'm like, I'll just eat the potato by itself. But now I know how to eat a potato and cut it. But now they're doing sour cream, putting it in there, or they're putting frosting in their potatoes. I'm like, man, these people are weird. And then later on, at the end of my mission, I came back. When I came back to that family, we had dinner close to my last night there, and we were talking, and I said, man, Sister Devise, you remember that? She goes, yeah, we were wondering, this guy is weird. He's putting sour cream on his cake. And I said, and I thought you made the worst frosting. I said, at first I was wondering why y'all were putting frosting into your potatoes, and then I'm like, oh, this frosting is gross.
That's awesome. All right, guys. that's our banter session for today. Thanks for joining us. Remember to subscribe. You can find us also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, YouTube. So yeah, hit that subscribe button, like, share our page, tell everybody about us,
And comment.
Yes, comment, please.
And then remember, racetrack. Give us a call.
And share with us your funny stories as well.
Yes.